Guys, so like you said, I work with labor and industries, and specifically in DOSH. So I've been with state government for 15 years, and a little bit about what I do and what I'm going to go through. Okay, so we do have a slideshow here. I may just actually take this off so I can see the slide. So really what I'm here for and what I'm going to do is talk a little bit about DOSH, about how labor and industries can help and does help small employers. I understand that you guys have kind of a wide range of businesses, and to me, what I do is outreach, and I work with employers in Washington State in of any capacity, whether it's a machine shop, whether it's like I saw bakeries, lashes, and things like that. I'm going to go into a little bit about what I and my staff can do for you guys, and really, to me, it's a success for me. If I get one or two, or even a small number of businesses to work with us and to contact me and say, hey, Corey, I do want your staff to come out to my workplace. I want you to come through our required safety and health programs. Look at our training. Let us know if we're doing it correctly. Then it's kind of a success for me. I do want to be able to open kind of the communication up and open the ability for us to work together. So I have this information up here at the end of the slideshow. I've got a few business cards out there. I'm hoping that maybe you guys will have some questions regarding your interactions with labor and industries. Division of DOSH, I don't see it on there, so Division of Occupational Safety and Health. A lot of times employers are aware of OSHA and maybe people coming out and doing and writing fines and inspecting your workplace and issuing fines and things like that. I did that for a long time, but now I'm in consultation where it's confidential and I work with you one-on-one and there's no penalties, no fines. The idea is to teach you guys as an employer what it is you need to have in place, what the requirements are, how you get things, and what resources we can provide, and kind of build a relationship so that when, say, if you do have an injury at work or something happens or somebody gets hurt, that I can help you go through the claims process and get that injured worker back to work. We get everything in place and kind of somewhat get you prepared for that. I would just say here, has anybody, as employers, has anybody here ever had injured workers or anybody's filed a claim or go through the process or anything like that? A lot of times we'll get questions regarding that or regarding the inspection process. So if you guys have any of those questions, feel free to let me know as we go through, okay? Oh, I guess I got it done. Yeah, here we go. No laser pointer, but thank you. That might be good. Yeah, thank you. So what I like, I had the pamphlet. Oh, did I drop that? So I like the education and outreach. Oh, no, can I see that pamphlet? I was just going to say, reading on the back page of this, I kind of thought this was interesting that it says our goal is to provide education, assistance, and resources to help local small businesses. So that's literally what we do. We are providing education, outreach, and things like that. So we speak all over the state, all over to agriculture, machine shops, construction. So it's really in line with what you guys are doing here. But I'm going to talk a little bit about protecting safety and health of workers. We do, labor industries does the medical care and financial help for workers. Wage hours and things like that. There's rules around all of that stuff. What are the break requirements? What's minimum wage? What is the lunch requirements? Things like that. There's a lot of questions that I would imagine as an employer when you file for your business license that, unless somebody walks you through all of this specifically, but I do protect public and protect workers from unsafe conditions. And I'll talk a little bit about maybe what some of the general requirements that all employers, as soon as you have one employee in Washington State, you have to meet a certain amount of requirements. So maybe I'll bring some of those up as we go through. So the primary responsibility of an employer is to provide a safety and health workplace, compliance with specific requirements for hazards. I do a lot of construction, so for me it's a lot of times we do, with fall protection or tower cranes, or, we do the high rises in Seattle, all the guardrails, all the floor openings. the trainings, the equipment that you see. All of those operations have different requirements, and it's my job to work with that employer to make sure that they know what those requirements are. And when I send one of my staff out to work with you, whether it's a bakery or a tower crane, my staff is required to know all of the hazards that may be present in your workplace and to kind of inform you on what it is you might be lacking. So say you call me out and I send one of my staff out, I'm just going to go with a bakery, for example. What we do is we meet confidentially. We meet at your workplace and we do what we call an opening conference. We get your information, how many employees. We kind of let you know that maybe we'll take pictures. If you don't want us to, we won't. We'll talk to your employees. We'll do some interviews. And then we'll walk through your facility, starting at the front door, with exit signs, lighting, your floor conditions, your mixers, your guards, your whatever the physical hazards are, your electrical outlets, covers, cords, everything. We'll go over everything in your workplace, and we document what you need to get corrected. There's no penalties, no fines, and then we will sit down at the end and say, okay, this is what we found. We found these different things in your workplace. What do you need to do to correct them? How much time? We'll say a month or something. So, okay, so we're going to send you, so what we do is we go back, generate the report. You get the report. It basically says, hey, did you have a question? Oh, okay. So the report says, hey, thanks for having us out. This is, keep in mind this is free. There's no penalties, no citations for anything that we issue. But the report says, thanks for having us out. This is what we found. You agreed that you're going to correct these within 30 days. If you need more time, let us know. And then you write back, say, hey, I put we replaced the cords, we put the sign up, we put whatever the barriers might be, and then that's it. So then the consultation is basically closed at that point. So that's a little bit about the process. I'm thinking even I saw some salons and hair and eyes and nails and things like that. A lot of those chemicals and things that are used in those processes, you have to have the safety information on those, the safety data sheets. You've got to have first aid kits. You have to have first aid training. Every employer is required to have safety meetings. And one of the main things that I find that all employers are lacking, or that may be lacking, are the safety programs. So every employer who has one or more employees is required to have a safety program. Does anybody here have that? Or does anybody, sometimes people ask what's required in a safety program. There's 9 elements. And so what we do is we walk you through what you need as an employer for a safety program. And it's really easy. It's just online. You download the template. You put your company's name on it. You as the business owner on it. You put your employees on there. You do the required orientation of your employees. You say, hey, the consultant came in and said, we need a safety program. We got to go over this. And so we go over it together. You sit down and you go through all this stuff. And then the employee has their orientation and he signs at the bottom. Now you've got your safety program going. Why don't we go to the next one here? I might talk a little bit more about. So this is a photo. So I used to be in compliance. So that was actually me in 2005 when I started. So like I said, I've been with the agency for 15 years, and that was a job site out in, I think it was in Bellevue, with my coworker Wellington. We're just doing an employee interview on site. In compliance, so the difference in consultation and compliance. So consultation is free, confidential. It's just you and I working together. Compliance is maybe they're driving by and they see something. They're going to stop, go into your workplace and say, hey, this is, I've got photos from the street. I'm going to do an inspection. They're going to walk through your whole facility, walk your whole job site, document everything, and attach penalties and fines. And you then have to pay that and correct it. So that's what I help employers with, is help avoid that kind of a situation. I don't want that to happen. And I work with the compliance officers and things like that. If I can do anything and stand up for the employer to prevent those inspections from happening, that's kind of a little bit how that works. Has anybody ever been through an inspection here, or no? Yeah? You want to speak to it a little bit, or tell me a little bit? So I'm curious, what kind of business, first of all?
I own a salon and spa.
Oh, a salon and spa, okay. So the industrial hygienist probably came out. What did they? Okay, so tell me, did they look through all your safety programs and your chemicals and things?
Yeah, so they're looking for my MSPS.
MSP, right? Your safety data sheets.
They're looking at labels, disinfectant stations, and all that stuff.
Yeah. So you're talking about disinfecting stations, labels on all your chemical bottles, training of all your employees, your accident prevention program, which the safety programs are your APP, your accident prevention program. So did they issue penalties and fines?
They do.
Yeah, they do. So that's compliance. You know, they show up unannounced. They don't tell you. You know, so the idea is that you work with consultation. For you know, you contact us, you contact me, and you know it's free. We go over all of that. And you know, what I don't want is you to get fined for any of that. So honestly, I've never in the 15 years, as far as like the Cambodian, I don't know that I've worked with any Cambodian employers, and I love getting out to employers who haven't utilized our services before. So I really do want to get some employers to contact us to help in inspection. So I suppose you got a lot of stuff corrected, and you probably learned a little bit in the process.
We did really good.
Yeah. You know, inspections don't always result in penalties, though. Sometimes some employers have everything in place, and that's good too. I like to work with employers who don't know what the requirements are, because then I feel like I'm really helping them. And yeah, so we identify and control workplace hazards, safety and health regulations. We discuss the rules specific to your business, whether it's a salon or maybe you do flooring, or maybe you install drywall or anything like that. There's a lot of ways to be out of compliance that employers a lot of times aren't aware of. You know, did you feel like you learned a lot in that? Yeah, you did. How many employees? Just curious.
At the time, I had 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Anybody else want to speak to an inspection or anything that they've had? Okay. If you guys have any questions as I'm going through, you know, please bring them up. Okay. Yeah. So let's see. Okay, so injured workers. So I just kind of have some of these different slides in here. In Washington State, when you have an employee, you know, the good thing about having Labor and Industries as an insurance company is that if an employee gets injured, they're fully covered medically. So we take care of we take care of our injured workers. So that's kind of the goal. We want to get that injured worker back to work, and of course we want to prevent those hazards from happening in the first place, but unfortunately it's the reality. But when somebody gets hurt, you know, there's a lot we have risk management as well. We have risk management, safety, and industrial hygiene. We all kind of focus on different things. I would send an industrial hygienist to her workplace because of the chemicals. I would send a risk manager as well to an employer who had an injury or a claims question, because risk management handles kind of the financial questions and the money. Safety is pretty obvious. We do ladders, floors, scaffolding, fall protection, things like that. But you know, depending on what type of business is kind of where we focus. You know, why don't we go to the next one here? Temporary employees, family members, and casual labor. So a lot of people hire day labor and things like that. Those people are required to be trained, and they have a right to safe workplace as a long-term employee does. And a lot of people aren't aware of that. So every employee that works for you has to have training, and all of the things have to be in place. One thing that I just wanted to mention, with the 9 required elements of a safety program, you know, you have to talk about what to do in the event of an emergency, what to do if you get injured, first aid requirements, safety training requirements, first aid kits, and things like that. And then the last thing is the employee orientation. So there's 9 required elements.
Corey, could I
Yeah.
do a little bit of translation?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, thank you. បាទខ្ញុំសូមអនុញ្ញាតសម្រួលជាភាសាខ្មែរបន្តិចចុះណាព្រោះយើងជាខ្មែរដែរដូច្នេះចំណុចវាមានតែ3 4ចំណុចសំខាន់ទី1គឺយើងអាចទាក់ទងទៅខាង L&I ឲ្យគេមកជួយធ្វើជា consultant នៅក្នុង business របស់យើងណាយើងអាចសួរនាំពីច្បាប់ទម្លាប់ត្រូវការធ្វើអីខ្លះរៀបចំយ៉ាងម៉េចឲ្យមាន safety ឲ្យមានរបៀបរៀបរយយើងនិយាយខ្លីទៅមានរបៀបរៀបរយនៅក្នុង business របស់យើងអានឹងចំណុចសំខាន់ទី1អានឹងអត់គិតលុយទេជាមុខការរបស់ state គេមកជួយយើងគេផ្ញើ consultant ពីពួកគាត់ហ្នឹងមកជួយយើងមកយើងនោះសំខាន់ទី1ចំណុចទី2គឺ compliance ហ្នឹងបានន័យថាបើគេដូចគាត់មានសាច់ហ្នឹងបើគេបើកឡានទៅព្រោះ một ca thế nó chỉ là bác làm mơ đang bị này những một tí hòn á, ở chỗ bác làm các cái cơ nhưng khó hơi mùi, anh nó chỉ nhân sức mà chạy xe nơi business vào dưới này, ở tại cái nào cái cơ tháo anh nó cho nó compliance, cho nên họ dương việc trong cái rúa, họ sẽ được phát về nơi dưới, đồng thời chịu cùng rúa, cho nên phát về nơi dưới, đó, đối với về con bàn dưới đó, cho nên phát về nơi dưới. Anh nó bị chúng ta nuôi tiếp từ training của năm trên của business nhưng này miễn bộc lực trong business dương nữa nhưng từ miễn cầm cái training từ đó bộc lực dương đồng thời vật vô thì safety ở trong mặt năng ở chúng ta nuôi tiếp các bạn luôn như thì rừng thả L&I organization của state của federal hay của federal đã sản xuất thành rùa ca đó nhận cước nặng nơi lại sự cả và dân nhận một lực dân thuê cho khóc lọt nia được cái trái toàn ấy là dân cước nặng dân nhận L&I nhưng lại sai xong mới chuyện L&I bàn rồi chứ L&I nó thì chui chứ sản rùa bạc khai với lạc rồi mình bàn một rồi chuyện rồi thế là tạo nên đắng nữa rồi sản rùa ca như lạc trong đây ở dân nó miền chi cho con nào còn ngoài bạc bò thì chip cho con phạm bê mà về là dân miền chừng ngư người dùng chip bạc ngư tôi sẽ sẵn khăn mà ta sẵn khăn cứ dòng mấy cái đó là bỏ ra free dương tôi thấy được về cái nó hào kia máu tôi là nằm dương tới hỏi cái ca dân nó bàn luôn tập tiền ta một cái chạp dương bá nhưng ra biết xăm bánh ta chạp dương bá anh đang kia đừng phải như là những mọi người là cả nó chỉ rừng phần khai nó trong tất cả các bạn trong một phần lần.
Okay. I think the gist of what I want to cover, but we'll see. We can skip this one. Basically, the idea here is that we have 6 regions across the state. I supervise Region 3, which is the blue here. We have lots of different offices across the state. We have, I think there's about 22. In each region, there's multiple offices, so there shouldn't be too far away or too hard to find the contact if you're looking for one. Maybe we go to the, believe last slide. Yeah, so here's my contact information. So again, what I want to do is help make, a connection with you guys. Help any employer who feels that they have any questions about what are the safety and health requirements and really help you have an understanding and kind of build a connection with just state government as far as safety and health goes. So if there's any other questions or if anybody needs to, Joe.
Yeah, I just got a quick question. So say, for example, you're real estate. Is there an L&I component to that? What about like retail businesses? Like, can you explain a little bit more on some of the businesses that you do actually have a reaching that people may or may not think about L&I's?
Right. So that's a good question, thanks, Joe. For us, as we are basically a large insurance company. Labor and Industries covers employees. So a lot of times we don't have a lot of real estate because a lot of times they are sole owners of a company. So we don't have jurisdiction over that. So we don't have jurisdiction over owners of a company. So an owner can do anything they want. They don't have to follow any safety rules. And a lot of times if you're like a real estate or there are some other businesses where you have multiple owners and that's it. We don't cover those. There's nothing for us to do. But when you have our requirements kick in when you have one or more employees. So
if you were to hire someone, if you're a realtor and you hire someone to work on a house for you, would you cover that person?
Yes, so the subcontracting and things like that. So that does get interesting. When you subcontract work out, you are held liable for any, so say like when I was in compliance, that happened a lot. We would come out I would see safety violations of a subcontractor. One of the things that we do is we hold the subcontractor accountable, but also the contractor who hired them accountable. So if you hire below you, you need to make sure that they are aware of all of this. And that's why we have a look up a contractor function on our website, to where if you hire a contractor, you need to make sure that they're registered, that they meet all the safety and health requirements that we're talking about. Because if they don't, and we find that there's violations, and if we do an inspection, we will cite them, but then we will also cite you as the general contractor above them. So that's a good question. That's something that does catch a lot of employers off guard. Is there any other inspection questions, or does anybody, have anything else they want to, ask me about? Feel free. But other than that, I do hope to hear from you guys. My number's on there, email's on there. So I appreciate it, and I think this is a great opportunity for us to be able to make a contact. And as Consultation, this is what we do. We do outreach, and we want to work with employers. So appreciate you guys having me out here, and hope to hear from you guys.
Well, thank you, Corey, for joining us on a Saturday morning or Saturday early afternoon. We appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Yeah. Again, just to